Hello everybody, Gamer219 here. I want to talk about this short story I read a couple of years ago that I came across while looking up online on a bunch of stuff, the story is called Futility, or The Wreck of the Titan. And the story was written by an American man named Morgan Robinson, and he wrote a story about a sailor working on board a ship called the Titan, and he's been going through some little bit of rough time after his ex girlfriend came on board with her husband and child and such. However, greater things has happened while on the voyage of the Titan, going from running over a smaller steamship, and then out of nowhere on a foggy night, there was a overturned iceberg, and the Titan strikes it and it sinks, taking with over about several thousands of people. With only the main character's story, his ex girlfriend, um, her daughter, the captain, and a few crewmen managing to survive the sinking of the Titan. Now, what got a lot of people talking about it was several things. The story was written and published in 1898, and it was described as being the largest ship in the world, built for most luxurious cruise in the middle of Atlantic, and she had she could stay afloat with up to about I think it said about 8 watertight compartments flooded, and so the media would describe the Titan as being the most unsinkable ship ever. And not only that, but it was also the most fastest ship, as not only was it, of course, steam powered and had great propellers, but also because she had masts that had sails on it, so that way she could go even more further if she wanted to. And and so the other thing about it is that 14 years after the story was published, the ill-fated liner, the RMS Titanic, sinks on the night of April, after striking an iceberg, and over 1,500 passengers had died on during that tragedy. And of course, that's where a lot of people are drawing comparisons that both ships in fiction and in real life were almost as big, with Titan being 800 feet long and Titanic being 888.5 feet long. Both ships were very luxurious. They both sailed in the Atlantic. They both hit an iceberg and sank ins- with insufficient amount of lifeboats. And however, how Titan sank, that was be like the biggest tragedy ever, was the fact that the way the novel describes it was the Titan was basically going full speed ahead, and because it was in a foggy night, the lookouts could barely see the iceberg ahead of them until it was too late. In which the novel described Titan just climbing onto the iceberg, just going up and up until her propellers was barely out of the water, and that's when she had tipped over to the side and just slowly slid back out to sea. And so with everything just tumbling over to one side, the Titan, of course, would flip upside down, and of course, eventually sink beneath the sea. And then, of course, the main character, having managed to jump off the ship and onto a nearby iceberg, along with his ex girlfriend's daughter, he had, of course, risked his life protecting the little girl, especially from a polar bear that was on the iceberg that they were taking refuge on. And I want to say, go ahead, everyone to check it out, the story and such. And it's quite fascinating that such a novel had existed before Titanic sank, as well as it being coincidental. And as for the ship being run over by the Titan in Titan's story, there was a near collision with a smaller ship called the SS New York, and it was like immediately after Titanic began setting sail for leaving Southampton, going to Cherbourg, France. And however, by 1930s, Titanic's older sister, Olympic, would run over the small ship Nantucket, and on like a foggy day in New York City and such. And if you check out online, you'll see most of the publications showing, of course, a picture of Titanic being used on most of the front covers, and of course, for most of it, which I'll have posted somewhere around here on the video, on the side, is the most acceptable drawing description of Titan would be being a large ship with like this long pole mast that you would see on sailing ships. I don't know what it's called though. I'll have to check it out. And of course, describing it as having four funnels and two large masts with sails on it and such. And that's about it, really. And so, and speaking of Titanic, of course, this year, April the 14th and 15th of 2022, will mark 110 years since the tragedy and such. And so, anyways, everyone, I wanted to talk to y'all about this short story, and hope y'all check it out. And until next time, everybody, see you soon.